How to turn your team into high performers. The magic of implementing very simple one-on-one meetings. It's time to be an authentic leader. When I talk to leaders about the performance of their team, I hear them describe things like they have people on their team who are simply poor performers. They really don't care about their job, or they're doing just enough really to get by, but they're really not performing. Or they might just even be okay performers. They're better than poor performers. They kind of do an okay job, but really not at the level that you need them to be. Or they might be even good performers. Most of the time, they're pretty consistent. They're pretty much performing what they're hired to do, not really much more than that, though. But what they really need are what we call high performers. These are people who are really excited about their job. They can work autonomously and independently. They really kind of get it, and they are producing great results for the organization. What is their primary function and role as a manager? The punchline and answer to that is their primary role is to identify obstacles that are keeping your people from being high performers. And then once they're identified, identify how can you remove those obstacles. Some of the managers who I work with are frustrated by that because they feel like they are struggling with how to identify the obstacles or the issues really that their people are working with. What I found is the best way to do that is through having scheduled recurring one-on-one meetings with your staff. There's no better way to build relationships, to build trust with the people on your team. The real purpose of these one-on-one meetings is to identify and share issues or even updates on projects. Identify those obstacles. What are the things that are preventing them from performing at an even higher level? Once identify, well, how do you overcome those obstacles? And sometimes it's helping the person on your team to overcome it themselves. Ideally, that's what you would like to have. But sometimes those obstacles, they are so big that that they can't overcome them on their own, and you might actually have to take them. It might be a corporate thing or a business decision that needs to be made that helps them to overcome that obstacle. These are recurring meetings, so they are scheduled and set up on your calendar. These meetings might be weekly, they might be, maybe it's every 2 weeks. You can find what the right interval is that's appropriate for you and your team. The good thing for the leader is that this is not your agenda. This is your team members' agenda. They bring the agenda, they bring the content to this meeting. There are many benefits to having these one-on-one meetings, as I mentioned before. It does help build relationships. It increases trust, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen over time. Additionally, it does increase job performance and really your team members' satisfaction in their role. You end up finding things out about your team that you would never find out any other way but through having these one-on-one discussions with your team. Now, there are a few things to be aware of. For example, these meetings will start off taking a little while to implement. But once you get really good at this and your team member gets good, these will take maybe 10 or 20 minutes each time you have a one-on-one meeting. There's also a way to introduce these meetings. If you've not set up one-on-one meetings before, or maybe you do have them, but now you want to kind of change and pivot to what we're talking about here today, there is a way to approach this in a very transparent and open way. I actually have a download that I will share with you at the end of this video that you can get for free that will outline all of what we're talking about here today. Let's just talk about the very simple agenda that your team member is going to bring to these one-on-one meetings. First off, the very first thing is that I like kicking these off with what's one or two successes that you've had since the last time that we met. It really starts off the meeting on a very positive note, and this is definitely a place where you will find out things that you would have never known otherwise. The second agenda item really are some of the key metrics. Maybe it's 2 or 3 key metrics that your team member is aware of and they are working toward. And they should be able to bring those numbers to you with what is the current status. Is the status improving? Is it not improving? Is it staying the same? Do you know why? Those sorts of things. They should be bringing those numbers and those answers to those questions to this meeting. If you don't already have metrics for your team, use this time to identify what are the key metrics that will help identify their success in their role. Next is really just a very brief moment where they just share some maybe issues that they're working through right now, or maybe it's a project update. This isn't really where they're asking for your help, but they're just simply making you aware of what's the current status of the work that they're working on right now. Next is really identifying what are the obstacles. You simply ask, what are the obstacles that are keeping you from going to the next level? I'll do this in a simple exercise where I'll ask, on a scale from 0 to 10, how do you currently rate yourself? Where 0 is you're doing absolutely horrible, and then 10 is you're walking on water, right? No matter what number they give, it's really easy to say, well, to go one number higher, what would it take? What do you need to do, or what prevents you really from going to just one number level up? From that discussion, you can start identifying, well, what are some solutions? What are some ways to overcome those current obstacles that maybe you have? And develop and work on a plan together about what action needs to be taken, with a deadline, of course, so that you can help them to overcome that obstacle. Every once in a while, this isn't something you do at every single one-on-one meeting, but you should have a good idea of the career development and the career aspirations of the person on your team. Just make sure you're clear about what is the next step for you. Maybe it's a year or two down the road, but you should know what is it that's next in their career so that you can look for opportunities and give them some experiences before they get to that next role. I hope that you didn't worry too much about taking notes through this video, because details about everything we talked about here and really even more is available on my website right now. So if you go to my website, there's a link right there at the top that will allow you to download this free PDF. This is a free PDF. I'm giving it away. This is something where you could download it. You could start implementing it today. It has everything you need to fully implement one-on-one meetings. If you've downloaded it, or if you have any questions about this, put them in the comments below. I would love the opportunity to answer your questions about implementing these one-on-one meetings. There's 3 steps to be an authentic follower. First off, if you connected with today's video, make sure you put a comment below. We want to know what you think. Also, make sure that you like and share this video on social media. You can click below right here to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and then you can watch the next authentic video right here. Hey, I think I did it in less than 20 seconds.